very pleased to say that we're speaking to Mr. Trichet today. So thank you so much for being here. Now, in terms really of when, first of all, I know you're in quiet period because we have that interest rate decision next week, but when do you see the refinancing markets actually coming to a more normal level?
Well, of course, we are in a process of normalization, but again, all what I say cannot be interpreted in any respect in terms of monetary policy future decisions. But what I am observing here is a lot of interaction, of course, as always, but we are at a phase where we have to work out the diagnosis on what are the lessons to be drawn from the present crisis, and it is particularly interesting to permit, I would say, absolute and free and frank exchange of views between all partners concerned, private and public. And so I think we are doing their work which is necessary and very useful.
Sir, on Greece, it does seem that the bond markets are not actually understanding what the Greek authorities are trying to tell them. They say they're tackling the problem as well as they can. The Prime Minister just told me an hour ago that the markets are too jittery, so therefore don't understand what they're trying to do. Do you believe him?
I always said all what I had to say on Greece. We approve the target, which is to going back below 3% in 2012, and we expect and are confident that the decisions will be taken accordingly to reach that goal, which is a very important goal. And it's true also for all others. I mean, we have now the Stability and Growth Pact operating, the medium-term stabilization program being decided upon, and they have to be implemented.
President, what's your take on the Obama regulation plans? A lot of the people here, including George Soros, says he supports the plan, but actually thinks that if you implement this regulation too quickly, it's not going to be great for the economy.
I said it was interesting. We have to study it, and it has to be processed, of course, through the global governance that we have created, namely the G20, with the industrial world, but also the emerging world, and it is extremely important if we want to have a level playing field at the global level, and it has to be processed through the Financial Stability Board for what regards more particularly the prudentials, the banking prudentials, through the Basel Committee discussions. So again, what is very important is that we create a world which will be much more solid. The fragility of global finance and of the global economy by way of consequence is something which we cannot afford. We will not afford it twice. Our democracy will not permit, in my opinion, to put on the table the level of taxpayer risks that had to be put to avoid the Great Depression that was threatening. So we have to do the job, all of us, and the job is to make the system much more resilient.
We're talking about asset bubbles across the world. This is something that's come up in a lot of the discussions here at Davos. What are you most concerned about? Where do you see the seeds for the possible next financial crisis?
Well, first of all, the seeds might be that we don't draw all the lessons from the present situation. And it's easy to say, difficult to implement, because we are numerous. We are 20, as I said, around the table, even more in some other groupings. We have to be sure that we do something that is commensurate to the fragility of the system. And as I said, we cannot afford to be clumsy in drawing all those lessons. So let me say that on a long-term basis, we have to do the job, as I said. On a short-term basis, we have to continue, all of us, to be alert. And again, being a central bank, I don't want to elaborate too much. I am in the third period.
Sir, just on a worldwide level, we heard also from the Deputy Governor of the Bank of China yesterday saying that he's concerned about carry trades. Are you concerned about global imbalances in the currencies? Is this something that we need to address, like President Sarkozy was asking for yesterday?
Global imbalances and the constellation of global imbalances as regards balanced current accounts, surpluses and deficits are major issues. We are supposed to proceed in the G20 and to exert surveillance, mutual surveillance on all the systemic economies. This is extremely important. This is one of the two major decisions which had been taken, and I have to say that it is, of course, a very important issue because it means that all partners, all systemic economies have to internalize in their own decision-making processes, in their macro policy decisions, what is the superior interest of the pertinent entity today, which is the global economy, global finance and the global economy. So very hard work in terms of action and decision, very hard work in terms of communication, because we are living, a lot of us, in democracies that I have to say, exemplary democracies. The lucidity, the good information and the lucidity of the people depends on appropriate communication. And if we want the system to be much less fragile, we need to elevate, if I may, the quality of information of our people. That you're playing a very important role.
I hope so. I sincerely hope so. But, sir, currencies have seen quite a lot of volatility. Is this something that you're concerned about, and can you play a role in it?
The volatility?
Of currencies.
Well, on currencies, as you know, I stick to what we said together with, in particular, our American friends. And I appreciate enormously that they say that a strong dollar is in the interest of the United States of America. I trust it is true. What Ben Bernanke and Tim Geithner are saying is true. It is also true in the European perspective, and it is also true in the global perspective. Of course, the strong dollar vis-à-vis the other free-floating currencies, like the euro. On other currencies that are not free-floating, we have a consensus.
President, I know you're tight for time, but just one last question about growth. How is this year going to pan out? We're in a period of growth, but a lot of the participants here have been telling us that they're cautiously optimistic.
I would say we have all to be realistic. And the future is not written yet. The future of our own growth depends on our capacity to restore, enhance, inspire confidence in the household constituency, in the entrepreneur constituency, and I would say all over the vast economy, which is the European economy. The European economy on the one hand, the euro area on the other hand, as the single economy with a single currency. Confidence is the key word today to permit recovery to expand and to consolidate.
But President, how do you give that confidence to the markets? Because everyone hears you, like possibly they hear the Greek Prime Minister, but then markets react in a certain way which sometimes has been inexplicable.
We central banks have the duty to be solid anchor of stability and confidence. And it is what inspires all our decisions. But it doesn't mean anything in terms of future policy decisions.
Understood, President.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, sir, one last thing. I know you're meeting with banks here in Davos on Saturday morning about regulation. What would you tell the banks today?
No, I won't say anything on that.
All right.
We will see what we say.
Sir, have a wonderful World Economic Forum, and thank you so much for making time for Bloomberg.